Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, I'm doing something I normally do not do, or it's very rare that I do a video response. And today's response is related to AD&D 2nd Edition, and it is a response to CondorDM and one of his subscribers. I have been doing videos recently uh, dealing with second edition, and I did a live stream last night inviting people to come in and talk about second edition, hopefully in a positive way. That's really what I was looking for. One of the questions that I had asked was, what is it about AD&D second edition that really makes it shine above the D&D editions that came before it and the D&D editions that have followed it. And Condor DM would have certainly been welcome to attend that. I put a public link out there, and and I assure you, Condor DM, that if you came in on that live stream, I was prepared to monitor the chat to make sure that it didn't turn negative. So would have blocked those comments and would have liked to have chatted about second edition, since I know that that is your edition of choice, and I wanted to hear your perspective. So I did my stream last night, and you did a video. It wasn't directly a follow up to the stream, but you were, I guess, approached by one of your subscribers who posed a question to you, or and so I will show your video, just that one portion, and then anyone else that wants to see the full video, I recommend that you go to his channel and take a look at his full video response. So here we go. I'm going to switch gears here and bring this up.
There are some people online that will come around and ask me some silly questions. Like, hey, are you bothered that there's an old school content creator known as DM Bloodsworth covering your game, Condor? And I'm like, well, what do you mean, my game? AD&D 2nd Edition. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition. I said, well, it's not my game. It's just my favorite D&D edition. You know, if you really paid attention to anything I do out there, whenever anyone covers 2nd edition, I don't get petty and jealous like I own it. I go praise them. I'm fine with them promoting 2nd edition. You know, I'm no fan of DM Bloodsworth, but if he wants to promote 2nd edition, good.
And so there you have it. I mean, and I do appreciate the fact that he, recognizes that it is, that it is silly that any of us own the games that we're actually covering. And the more exposure that the old school role playing games get, I think it is best for all of us that consider ourselves OSR content creators on YouTube. And to respond to that subscriber that's considering, like, what I'm doing is potentially piggybacking off of Condor DM's channel and his turf. Let me just direct you to where my coverage of second edition actually began, and then you'll see in the context of what that subscriber was potentially mistaken with. So let me switch views again. And so here we have my playlist for AD&D second edition. It was nearly 3 years ago, and I will bring up the it was nearly 3 years ago, and for some reason Where are you? Oh, I know what I got to do. Here, so 3 years ago, I did my first video of AD&D Second Edition. All right, this is when I purchased the Player's Handbook and some of the other core books. And this one was dated on, for some reason this is, oh, here we go. Uh, this was first posted, where is the darn date? This was posted back in January 20th of 2021. All right, so nearly 3 years ago, two years and 9 months ago or so, I posted this. And going back to my playlist, I will just try to. Sorry, this is not working the way that I had previously done it. I have to go scroll all the way back to here to get to my playlist. And again, this goes back to
I'll never forget those sounds.
2021 when I started. Now recently, I will get to the full playlist here. So these are all 2021, all of these older ones. And then as a response to a comment on one of my 2-year-old plus videos, a subscriber to my channel asked if I would make a return to Second Edition, and start covering Second Edition. So I did that with this video here, Chapter 14, and here is the information. This was a little over 2 weeks ago, September 8th, 2023, is when I made that return. So I had about a 2-year lapse in between doing videos. And this is why the person requested that I go back to it. And so I did. This is going back to September 8th. And my last interaction with CondorDM on his channel was just 4 days ago. So there was no intent on my part to go back to treading on his turf. Let's put it that way. So I was not treading on his turf. I wasn't looking to. If anything, I kind of invited him to, either come on, or I also on one of his videos I left a comment, and what I meant to intimate was that he has a Second Edition, AD&D Second Edition enthusiast. That's what I'll say. That is his game of choice. And what I was, recommending or suggesting was that he really focus on it. Now, I will admit that I did not look to see if he had a playlist. It wasn't that I was just unaware that he had a playlist, or I just wasn't thinking to look at his playlist before I made the comment. And I should have used the word focused instead of you should cover AD&D Second Edition. I really meant that he should focus on covering it, because 2 weeks ago when I did this video, making my return after a 2-year gap in between AD&D Second Edition back in, March, I think was the last video I did, March of 2021, until this past September, actually 2 weeks ago. So that's a long gap in there. And I saw how much enthusiasm came up from that video, that when I was responding to a video that he had put up, I had, instead I should have said you should focus on, just a suggestion, to focus on AD&D Second Edition, because I saw how popular my video was, and how many comments were flowing in. And so I recommended, instead of having Dungeons and Dragons WotC in your title, maybe you should include AD&D Second Edition, and carve out that niche, and bring make your channel the go-to channel for AD&D Second Edition. Now, CondorDM, as he says himself, he's no big fan of mine, so I guess the suggestion came off as being negative. And I did not intend for it to be negative. I intended for it to be helpful. But I guess our interactions just have not been, not been positive enough that he was willing to take a suggestion, and he banned me from his channel again, or blocked it, or hid it, or whatever. So which again, I don't have a problem with that. If that's what he wishes to do. I just meant for it to be reaching out. And I know in a comment that I made on he had commented on one of my other videos that it really, I thought of it as being like an olive branch to be like, hey, a bigger expert of AD&D Second Edition than I certainly am. And so that's how I really intended that interaction to be. Um, so regardless, I mean, as he says he's no big fan of mine, and fine. I guess I rubbed some people the wrong way, and I'm okay with that. I will still extend that invitation. He can jump in on any of my videos of Second Edition, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, and he can give suggestions, or tell me, well, this is how I handle that particular issue. If he wants to pick apart my videos, I am perfectly fine with that. So the door is still open, has always been open. He's welcome to come in on my live streams, and like I said, I will monitor the chats to make sure that make sure that nobody gets overly negative. But I do appreciate the fact that at least in his video there, that first 51 seconds, he made it very, very clear that no one owns these. No one owns these games, and the coverage of these game systems. I think all of us in the OSR should be open to discuss any game that we actually own, and we may either actually run, or have played, or are looking to play, or just reviewing it, or previewing it, or looking at it for the first time, which is kind of what my channel is about. It's that's why it's called Unscripted and Unchained. I kind of go right into looking at things for the first time, and you're witnessing that as I go through it. And sometimes I don't express things exactly the way that I meant it to be, or whatever. So I once again will apologize for giving the wrong interpretation of what I was looking to do. I should have used the word focus instead of just making a suggestion, as if he did not have any coverage on his channel for it. But I will also admit that I wasn't thinking along the lines of taking a look at what his playlist included. And I guess his viewer that approached him kind of made that same mistake, because they would have seen, if they've gone to my channel and looked at my playlist, they would have seen that no, I've actually covered AD&D Second Edition back in 2021, and so it wasn't oh, well, CondorDM does this, and so now I'm going to start covering it too. So there was no piggybacking, or trying to farm his content for my channel. virtually every book that you see behind me, I either played, run, obviously own, and so at some point I have either covered them or I will at some point actually cover them, and and so that's pretty much it. So uh, thank you, CondorDM, for pointing out the. I guess it's obvious since you said it was a silly question to begin with, but and it would be nice if all of us within the OSR would be a little bit more welcoming of each other's suggestions and doing more collaborations and so on and so forth, and maybe just take some of the edge out of our interactions, which like I said, I can I can be at fault of that as well. So I hope all of you enjoyed this video, and you know keep on following second edition content that is coming out on any channel, mine and Condor's and others. I know he just recently did like almost like a new video kind of show, like talking about his playlist that what was actually a very good video, informative, and probably better than his first one, if he doesn't mind my pointing it out. I thought that it was actually a very good video, and and I even gave it a thumbs up because I thought it was spot on, what you would do as an introductory to a playlist kind of video. So take a look at his second edition content, and please do continue following mine, and look elsewhere. There's other Dungeon Musings does a lot of second edition stuff. I believe Joe the Lawyer does second edition stuff. There are other content creators out there that are covering second edition. Now, does that mean that AD&D second edition is going to become my jam like those? Probably not. I mean, I am still an AD&D first edition dungeon master, and runner, and player at times. Still very heavily invested in Castles and Crusades, and if I were going to pick, if I can only pick one D&D-esque game, Castles and Crusades would be my thing. But I also play a number and run a number of other games as well. So yeah, so you're going to get much more of variety on my channel as with some others. All right, and and almost all of my content is going to be OSR and indie. You will see very, very little 5e and nothing recently, and even less Pathfinder, which I've never actually done a video on Pathfinder, even though I have the core books. I don't think I've ever focused on Pathfinder at all for any length of time. So as always, thanks for joining, and I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. I'm going to keep on trying to keep that schedule of Thursday night live streams, so always feel free to jump in on those, and whatever topic I happen to be talking about for the week. This week it just happened to be second edition. Next week we'll see what pops up in the days leading up to Thursday, and I'll see what any of my members bring up, and my subscribers, I should say, bring up that they wanted to dig into. So you all have a great rest of your weekend upcoming, and I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a gaming table sometime soon. Take care.